All right, this is a very special day. Oh, I can't wait. Oh my god, 12 minutes. I feel like this is gonna be really
All the
cringy
time
though.
in the TF2 community, we have these threads pop up. It's like, who is the best player or whatever at these classes? People are always obsessed with who's the best, who's the best, who's the best. And a lot of people will say my name, but then there's always like a subtext to it. But I hate his guts, you know, something like that.
B4nny was able to do whatever he wanted. He could walk around the map and just kill everything he wanted. He was the best player, like, or in the best team for a long time. It gives you an ego.
Oh my God, it's B4nny, you know, he's insane, what's up? Pipe Jesus.
He was one of the best players in North America.
Even if you don't like him, you have to respect him. And as much as it might be painful for some people to say that, and even sometimes myself, you have to respect what he represents.
This is gonna be great, I can tell.
So I actually started FPS gaming at 9 years old, and my first games were Serious Sam and Unreal Tournament. I progressed into later versions of Unreal Tournament, then eventually into COD, COD 1, COD 2, COD 4. In middle school, I was like really going crazy, like 10 hours a day playing Call of Duty and stuff.
Does he normally have his guitars hung up like that, or did they do that just for the
I
documentary?
decided to quit, and I would give up the whole competitive thing, so I went to TF2. And we can all see how that worked out.
B4nny was actually one of my favorite players when I got into TF2 because he was the best back then. And I don't know, I loved watching him play.
And then I think I first saw B4nny when I went to an ESEA LAN. And I believe at the time he was playing for Amazing Gaming with Tyrone. And B4nny was just this kind of like quiet, shy dude on the side that was making big plays, you know. And you know, Tyrone was the team leader. Tyrone was setting the pace and everything of that squad.
Well, at the time, you know, B4nny was super young. Like, we
I'm
started
glad Tyrone's in the
as
documentary.
an open team, like an amateur team, kind of worked our way up. And I think our first season together, we ended up winning.
He's got an Overwatch poster back
which was,
there
like,
though.
Huge at the time. Like, whoa, like we just never saw it coming.
That team lasted for like 8 seasons. We became one of the teams to beat. But then like once he started losing interest in the game, I started like edging him out, you know, because I cared more. So I would start being more vocal. I would start making the strats. I would start overruling his calls, you know, things like that. And that was kind of when we went our separate ways.
And my thought at the time was like, hey, we're really good.
He says
We're
go their
having a lot of
separate
fun
ways, but
together.
like they still live together.
And if we start losing, who cares, you know? And I was really upset that how close we were for 3 years and everything, like our bond wasn't stronger than his will to win.
There was a very like scathing article written on ESEA News by a guy named DJC. He went down every route possible to just tarnish my name and my reputation.
You know what, to be honest, I feel like that probably has to do a great deal with like Dear John what is DJC was very close to our network of like my group of friends. And to be honest, like I didn't realize the magnitude of it all.
A lot of people, you know, they set out to win and they win and then they're done. But I set out to win forever, I guess.
Everyone thought that he was just like some super all-star
Fuck.
devil man that, you know, no one could really stand up to. But, you know, now he's playing scout. Now he can play soldier. Now he can really play whatever he wants and play it to near perfection. He plays it so well.
For Your Tech was one of Shade's big theatrical ideas, was to create the ultimate super team for the next international LAN, which was I-52 that was coming up. We picked up Lansky again. Who
I
I'd played
fucking love
with
that guy.
before. A lot of it was my fault. The truth is that I let my girlfriend decide some things at the time. You know, that
Cringe.
relationship being so toxic was actually very important, I think, to my development.
Going back to GXL 2014, B4nny was actually dating a girl named Lauren.
And I just keep noticing that Lauren and Clockwork are hanging out quite a bit. It took me a little bit longer to figure out that Lauren was no longer with B4nny and had moved on to Clockwork. But I think that's very telling of B4nny, you know, that he would approach that situation where he did move down to LA to date Lauren, and that if she were to then move on to his teammate, that he wouldn't make it an issue in the team.
So like at that event, like Lauren and I were just like hanging out a lot. But I think he's basically swept that under the rug. Ironically, like during that event, he separated what was happening in real life and TF2 very well. Like our communication in game was not any different.
He doesn't cut clockwork, and I think that's because even with all of that drama aside, B4nny always just wants to win so bad no matter what. So B4nny just stuck through.
That's so
with
true.
Kind of the awkward scenario that they were put in just because B4nny wanted to win so much.
When I was in that relationship, I lost almost all of my self-confidence because every move that I made was being scrutinized. I lost the sense that I could make good decisions, that I could control things and things would work out. And that was the worst feeling I've ever had. And when that ended, I vowed I would never, ever let myself feel that way ever again. So from now on, I don't care about other people's emotions as much. I do what's right, and I will stand up for myself.
I'm not really sure how they really feel about each other. I think B4nny is the type of person that easily forgives people, but at the same time, he's not afraid to just keep shitting on them. But I think Clockwork is a little bit more emotional, and I think he does hold a little bit of a grudge, the way, just how B4nny treats certain players.
After Lansky left, we picked up a guy named Ash. He's a really good player. He has amazing aim and DM, but he's just
Oh my.
a really difficult teammate to work with for me.
From the start, I knew like, if anything was gonna go wrong, it was gonna be like a catastrophic event. I think it all culminated, we were on
The music got so
Sunday,
serious,
the
dude.
playoffs. And the whole time we were like trying to set up these plays of like suiciding out to the point to switch, Carter just kept getting picked. Like Ash just got picked over and over again. And like Shade and B4nny, I remember specifically got like really like annoyed. And they got into like a little, like, I think Carter said he was gonna mute B4nny, and then like B4nny just kind of cut him on the spot.
I saw him as like excluding himself. So I was like, if you're gonna do that, then we're gonna get you off the roster. You're not playing anymore. Mid-match, Ash was removed, and he went and
Why are they making this so
did a quick
serious?
interview
Like,
with Team
Jesus.
14TV, and they put up an article.
If you could have just put their differences aside, we definitely would have won, because Ash is an amazing player, and you know there was no problem with the team performance. But it just really goes to show, like, he had, you know, that's just his personality now. Like B4nny, just no bullshit.
Shortly after we lost, I had everybody on the team just stay in our mumble, and we just went down the line. I was like, all right, who wants to commit for next season? And literally every player is like, no, 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 no. There was just me left, and I decided that I wasn't going to quit.
oh
I
yeah.
was going to rebuild from the ground up. I had mostly been out
Yo,
of
Techie,
the
thanks for the resub.
public eye.
3
Only
months in a
after
row.
I-52 did I start streaming, and I think actually
Appreciate
that's
it,
when
dude.
it really started.
So the first time he ever streamed, he didn't really keep up with it. You know, it was just a bunch of TF2 players. I did the same thing. We just heard about Twitch, and we were like, oh, let's just try streaming. B4nny got like the most. Like B4nny's stream was like hype in the community. Everyone was like, oh my God, B4nny's stream. He had like 500 viewers. But like now, since it's like his job to just be a streamer, I think like the way it is, the way I look at it, is that he really has like, his stream is like a bubble of his own viewpoints. So really it's just like an echo chamber of just positive reinforcements.
So he can say something that's maybe wrong to a lot of people, but in the environment he puts himself in, they will all agree with him basically. It's the same for any streamer.
It's kind of like he's so exposed to the scene, like people feel like
This is the
they
cringy
know him
footage.
so well. When I personally feel he doesn't do a great job of projecting himself onto the community. I think he is a good person. I just don't think he's good at showcasing the parts of his personality that are the brightest. He's doing something to make a lot of people just not like him that much. And I really, it's a feat, because like to be the face of a game and to have just the majority dislike you as opposed to like you is just...
God, this pisses me off sometimes. B4nny really gives a shit about even some of the most dumb shit that doesn't have any value. Like, I remember one time I was playing a pug with B4nny, just 12 random invite players just laid on like a Friday night or something, just like, hey, you know, we'll just play some TF2 and some organized pickup game. And Banny, I remember, he cared so much about winning this pickup game, and there was nothing on the line, and there never is. And I'm like, I remember him like begging and pleading for me like not to die on a certain push, and I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, this is just a pickup game. Like, I'm just here to like enjoy, you know, myself on a Friday night. But that's Banny. Just like he cares so much about getting better all the time.
There's a lot of roasting here.
And that work ethic would be so valued in a game like Overwatch, where teams are practicing like 8 to 10 hours a day, and he probably could be on a pretty damn good team.
I'm not really sure what caused him to not do it, because I would have teamed with him, because I think he's a smart player, and I actually think the way he plays TF2, it kind of goes in line with how you play Overwatch.
B4nny's future is TF2's future, basically. That's why I said before, he needs TF2 to continue to grow for his career and his income, and the future for TF2 is it's turbulent. It's never like click up. We never know exactly where it's going to go. It could get better, it could die tomorrow. Like, it's that kind of a scene.
I think people probably think that I'm trying to take like a moral high ground and try to make them feel guilty and all that. Maybe in a way I am. TF2 players in Overwatch, they go straight to the top. I have even more experience and accomplishments than any of them. So I could almost certainly do it, and I could be a king in Overwatch. But I just have chosen not to.
I can't,
for the
dude.
time being,
It's
at
too
least.
much.
If someday that happens, I'll be very explicit about it. I'm selling out. It is what it is. The way I see it is I'm happy playing TF2, and I know that Val hasn't given up, so if I love TF2,
I feel like if you're gonna sell out, you were gonna do it a while ago, you know? If you actually liked the game, you would have played it. That's how they end it? No. What? I'm so confused. You know, like a lot of times, like documentaries have like an angle or something. They're trying to like pitch or something. I had no angle. It's like B4nny's really good, but he's kind of a jerk. That was like the angle. That was it, dude. There's no happy ending there, man. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yo, Fallen Eagle, 37 months in a row. Appreciate the reset. Welcome back to the SLIN boys. Yo, shout out to Regular Techie. Sorry I didn't talk that much. Like, I was in the middle of the documentary, so I didn't want to say too much. But Regular Techie, I really appreciate my man. Fallen Eagle, you fucking too, man. Holy shit. Thanks for wasting everyone's time. God, man, that's just so... What a documentary, you know? I was smiling, I was like grinning ear to ear at the beginning because I love watching like quality TF2 content, you know? And like that was actually like a well-produced documentary, like, you know, it had good lighting on B4nny, it was well edited, but like, what the fuck was that? Holy shit, I'm still like processing it right now, like, I don't have to think right now, man. It's just like, there's like a lot, like, for some reason they focus a lot on his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, I mean, and like Clockwork had a lot to say, and Kaitis I guess not so much, so maybe they just didn't focus on Kaitis because he probably had a shitload of roasting to do, or something. Like, you can't make the whole documentary just roasting, but... Also, like, Kaitis' girlfriend also did interviews for this documentary, but she wasn't in there at all. Like, she literally didn't even make an appearance, but she did a whole interview for that. I don't know, usually there's like an angle. Like, usually there's like a point. But I mean, they just had a bunch of footage. They're like, let's put something together. Yeah. I mean, I was just confused at the ending. Like, the ending was, well, if I quit for Overwatch, I'll let you know. I could be really good at it, but I'm not going to because I have faith in TF2. And that was the end of the documentary. It was like, what was all that stuff about him being a bad person? Like, I don't know. Like, weren't they gonna talk about, like... Shouldn't they have said something like, you know, the resolution to that? Like, hey, so everyone thinks you're a bad person. Like, what do you think about your reputation? He never really addressed it. Like, oh yeah, everyone hates me, but I'm cool with it, so I'm just gonna keep on being bad? Or is it like, hey, everyone hates me, so I'm gonna try and like change and become the face of the game, and I really want people to be proud of me or something? Like, there was no conclusion. It was just like, hey, one day I might bail to go to a different game. I'll let you know when that happens. Peace. Which, I mean, that could be his person. Like, that is maybe his answer to the question, but like, I don't think it is. Like, it should have just been like, hey, like, maybe the documentary should have been focused on like how bad of a person he was, in which case that's cool. But then like, what's the resolution, man? You can't just switch topics and then end it. Oh my god. They had like 30 minutes of film, but they ended up with 10 minutes. I mean, I could totally understand that. First of all, I prefer a 10-minute documentary because I don't want it to be droning on for years. And second of all, there's not a lot of incentive for them to put it together. It's not like this video is going to get 30,000 views or whatever. It could get 30,000. It's not going to get a million views, so they're not going to like invest a whole lot of time putting together this documentary. I can understand that. But at least have a start, a middle, and an end. Dang, that documentary was pretty hype, like within the community at least too. I think the angle, if I was putting that documentary together, I would be like, look, this guy's the best player TF2's got. He's the face of the game. And then they had a really good point, which was like, why did people not like him if he's the face of the game, if he streams every single day, if he's so good? Like, clearly the best player, should be well respected. People don't like him. And then they kind of deep dive into like, okay, they don't like him. Like, this is why they don't like him. He's kind of a jerk sometimes, you know, all he cares about is winning, this and that. Maybe you can talk about the girlfriend, I think that's okay. And then the resolution, that's the most important part. It's like, now that we all recognize that he's a jerk or whatever, if that was the conclusion you reached midway through the documentary, what are we gonna do about it? Like, or what are you gonna do about it even just that part? Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, hey, everyone thinks you're a jerk. What are you gonna do about it? And then at least get that far, you know? You don't need a 30-minute documentary, but you do need, like... I need closure, damn it. Oh, man. Like, that was great. It was like, oh, he's in a bubble. Like, everyone he talks to just tells about how good he is, and he really does think he's the king now, whatever. But then you need to, like, at some point in the documentary, you need to stage an intervention. So, like, it might be really fucking awkward to do it, but basically the intervention is get 10 people in a room together, and then they all say, hey, B4nny, we've known you for 5 years or whatever. And then they actually literally do an intervention in a room, and they film it. I would love that. It'd be super cringy, but I would love this. Where they stick everyone in a room together, and they're like, so, B4nny, we hate to tell you this, but no one likes you. and then just get his reaction or something, and then maybe after the intervention's over, they ask about that experience, and you know, now that he realizes that no one at the upper level of the game likes him as a person, like, what is he gonna do about it or whatever? I would love that, man. That would have been, oh, and they had the opportunity to do it too, because they literally had players from the top 4 teams in the world at that event. They could have easily gotten a private room, took a bunch of chairs in a circle, staged a B4nny intervention. Oh, that would have been gold, dude. That's a seriously missed opportunity. Dang. Alright. You love TF2, Monty, but you think that TF2 should start thinking of, B4nny should start thinking about his future because you don't think TF2 will be a massive esport. I kind of agree and I kind of disagree at the same time, okay? Let me give you, well, first of all, I already made I made like a 10-minute video earlier tonight where I recorded what I thought about the future of TF2. So I'm going to post that on YouTube when I go to sleep tonight. I kind of fucked up and the audio is desynced because it's my very first time recording in the style that I did. So I'm going to fix that for next time. But the audio is desynced, but it'll still I think I'm just gonna publish it anyways because I don't want to re-record it. So that's that. And then my second thing I want to say is for the future of like B4nny, I actually don't think you need to switch games in order to have a future. I think he might have to eventually if TF2 is like dying, and if you look at the numbers for player numbers for TF2, it is kind of going down. But like, I was watching one of the streamers that I really like, one of my favorite streamers. His name is Raisefire. I don't know if you know him. He used to be a comp TF2 player, and when he did stream comp TF2, he'd like cap out at like 100 viewers because he wasn't particularly good at the game, but he was like really nice and everyone liked him. And then he kind of went on a streaming slump for a little bit when he quit TF2 because he was like thinking about variety streaming, like he was looking into other things that were going on, all the while still kind of mildly being involved in the TF2 community, etc., etc. And he eventually found the speedrunning community, started streaming Super Mario Sunshine, and now he's like super successful. I don't know if he tells people how many subs he has, so I don't want to like reveal it. But like, he's doing like really well on streaming right now. Super proud of that guy. And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, you know, like I don't understand how this guy gets any viewership playing Super Mario Sunshine, which is like a completely dead game, right? Like you think about it, it's even more dead than TF2. Like the number of people who play Super Mario Sunshine is way less than the number of people who play TF2 right now. And yet this guy still pulls like really good sub numbers. Like, how does he do it, you know? And he streams every night. And like I watched his stream last night, for example, and he's talking about Hot Pockets. It's like, I guess my point I'm trying to make is like, it's not a competitive game, you know, but like he is part of the speedrunning community, so maybe you could like make an argument for that. But like my general point that I'm trying to make is like, I'm not like so sure that the game matters. I think you just need to have like a good stream. That's like kind of where I'm going with that. It's like, I don't think the game matters so much as like the relationship with the viewers kind of thing, and like consistently streaming. I guess my point is like, TF2 is still a big enough game on Steam, and just a big enough game in general, to where he could sustain himself long enough to get to the next point, you know? For B4nny, that's what we're talking about. Like, you know, the developers of Valve are still putting resources into TF2, right? So like, as long as they're doing that, you know, like, it could still be a decent game for the next 3 years, 4 years, right? And if 3 years from now they build out the esports side of it and actually ends up being a good esports game, they could actually start promoting it and start promoting the matchmaking for it, so that could actually be a thing that could compete with Overwatch. So I actually don't think that like B4nny's in the wrong by pursuing this. Also, like, I watched B4nny's Overwatch streams, and this dude straight up like didn't like Overwatch. Like, I watched him play, and the reason he didn't switch to Overwatch was because he just doesn't like the game, and that's like kind of a big deal unless you're gonna sell out. Like, if you're gonna sell out, then it doesn't matter if you like the game or not. But if you like, there's some merit to this whole idea of, I'm gonna play a video game every single day of my life for 10 hours a day, I better at least mildly enjoy it. And if you straight up don't like it, then that's a problem, you know? Like, the whole point of streaming is that it's this kind of like dream job, you know, where like you can actually make money doing something you enjoy, and if you don't like the game that you're streaming, then like that's kind of a problem. At least, you know, for some people. Maybe if you're gonna straight sell out, then it doesn't matter, but you kind of get my point.